Hey guys, what's going on? We got another Mythic Plus video here. We are doing a plus 22 Vortex Pinnacle. Gonna be watching it in 1.5 times speed. And I'm gonna do this like the usual ones where I explain the affixes and the dungeon mechanics. But first I'm gonna say I am doing this in a storm build on Enhancement Shaman. The build will be in the description if you are interested in it. But anyways, first off, we got the affixes. We got Tyrannical, which increases the boss's damage and health by 30%. And then we got Volcanic, which summons those little eruptions on the ground. If you stand in it, you take a bit of damage and you get knocked into the sky. And then we got Sanguine, which drops a puddle on the ground of blood. Basically, if you are in it, you're going to take damage. If the enemies are in it, they are going to heal for X amount of whatever. So try to pull them out as much as possible, but it's not that big of a. There's no real super affix this week, so it's pretty good push week. But onto these mobs. These gust soldiers do something called rushing wind. Basically, they're going to charge at somebody and put a magic dot on them. The cast is not interruptible, but you can potentially stun or interrupt it, or not interrupt, knock it up and stuff like that to stop it. So if you have something like that, try to catch it if you can. It is a very fast cast, so you only have like half a second to do it, but it could definitely help out your healer a lot, especially on like weeks with afflicted where they're already spending their dispel. But onto this big pack. This is the hardest pack of this front section, which has one of these armored Mistrals. Basically, they're going to do a circle to knock up. Then they're also going to do a frontal block, so you have to be behind them to make them do damage, or they take no damage at all if you're hitting from the front. Then you got two Gust Soldiers, which again, they put the dot out. And then you have these little wind vortexes. They cast Wind Blast, but they also cast something called Cyclone, which is a very slow cast, but basically it's going to banish a target and they won't take any damage or healing from anything. It can't do any damage either, so they're essentially stunned. Then we come up to this Cloud Prince. Now these guys are kind of a pain in the butt. As you can see, they do a lot of damage. They also summon a giant wind orb, but basically if you're in that wind orb, you're going to get launched off the edge and take a lot of damage. You're most likely going to die from it. But so don't stand in it. The turbulence cast that you will see here in a second, basically that's going to push you back and deal massive damage to everybody. Try to use a defensive or any self-healing that you can to try and help out your healer a bit. It definitely is definitely a pain in the ass to heal sometimes, especially when you got two of them going back to back like this pack. It's definitely a pain in the butt. But as you can see, he stood in the Sanguine while he was casting that, so he got like 30% of his HP back, which kind of sucked. But on to the first boss, Grand Visored Urton. I hope that's how you say his name. Anyways, he's got tornadoes around. He's got lightning orbs floating around. He's got 4 or 5 elementals around the side. And he's got a patch underneath him. So essentially, you don't want to touch anything that's moving, and you want to make sure everybody is facing to one corner of the arena. And what that does is it prevents the elementals from casting. If nobody's facing them, then they're going to start casting a chain lightning that does a significant amount of damage. I don't exactly know how much, I just know it's going to do a lot because it's so easy to keep them down that if you do have one get up and cast, you're probably, it won't be a good idea. But then he does this cyclone shield, I guess. Basically, he pulls all the tornadoes in and does area damage to everyone. There's no dodging it, but try to group up so that way your healer can use like a group defensive or has an easier time healing. It definitely makes life easier for them. It's definitely a pain in the butt a bit. As you can see, pop dome and stuff. So definitely helps out. Kick whenever you can, and don't step under him because underneath is also like a patch like the electric balls have. Um, Basically, it's gonna hit you and you're probably gonna die. So try not to do that. But onto this little pack. These guys aren't so much. These are the Turbulent Squalls. They're gonna shield themselves and then cast Cloud Burst, but they only do it one time. So at half health, they shield themselves and then they go to cast Cloud Burst. So try to keep a stun or Arcane Torrent if you're Blood Elf. Be ready to pull a whole bunch of them off. Or Mass Dispel if you're a priest. Helps out a lot. And while the shields are up, they're also doing a bit of AoE damage too. So just watch out for that. Then you got the Empyrean Assassins. So these guys do, as you saw, the Vapor form. Basically, it reduces magic damage taken by a significant amount. And then they do like almost like a backstab, but it's like a AoE cleave as well. So just be careful with that. It's not too crazy. But on to the first dragon. So these guys suck, especially on fortified. As you see, we're all taking significant amount of damage. Make sure you're standing in the green circle, but make sure the dragon is not, because it will heal him and you at the same time, which will make the fight never ending. But the icy buffet, basically it puts a dot on everybody that's not dispellable, but it will go away once he dies. It does a significant amount of damage, as you saw. This pack is kind of like the same pack a while ago, where it's got two rush guys, two cyclones, and a little turbulent guy too. So it's a pretty simple pack to deal with, not too crazy or anything. Right after this, we got 4 vapor guys. So these guys are like assassins. So it can get a bit out of hand if they all target the same person. But right there, I died because I pulled aggro. Try not to do that. It's a good idea not to pull aggro off of your tank. Let him hit them first. I have a hard time with that. I like doing maximum damage as fast as possible, so my tank hates me. But yeah, so just be careful, be ready to get backstabbed from these guys, and make sure you cast. If they do get a cast off, you can dispel it, so don't be too worried about that. But same thing, dragon, make sure he's out of the circle, make sure you're in the circle, because it's healing you for a significant amount of time per second, making that icy buffet much easier to deal with. It just honestly, if you can skip this guy on Fortified, it's better to skip this guy. It's not so bad on Tyrannical. On Fortified, it's an absolute nightmare. This is the last pack before the boss, which includes 4 of those Turbulent guys and 2 Assassins. So same thing as last time. Wait for the shields to come up. Arcane Torrent or Stun or Interrupt, whatever. Pull off the shield as fast as possible and beat the crap out of them. That's the best part. Always beat the crap out of things. That's my favorite part. But yeah. And now we're coming up to the worst boss in, honestly, the whole season. I hate this boss. So if you did Kata, you'll remember this guy. He does the winds. If you're on the right side of the winds, he will give you a haste buff. If you're on the wrong side, you will get a haste debuff and take even more damage. So this whole fight, you're taking damage, so be very careful. Make sure you are on the correct side, which is the wind going towards your back. Always have the wind going into your back while you're attacking the boss. That's the easiest way to determine it. But as you will see, he does a chilling breath, and then he will do a circle as you saw before. It should be coming up here soon. Downburst, I think, is what it's called. I'm taking a guess here. And there's another chilling breath, and here comes the downburst. There it is. So that's going to summon a ring. Basically, if you have any form of double jump, you can jump over that. But if not, you can use those tornadoes. You will take a bit of damage, so be careful. If you have to, use some self-healing to help the healer out, stuff like that. But other than that, this guy is really the worst boss in the whole season, in my opinion. He just does the most group damage out of any boss. He also like he just sucks. It is nice having the haste buff, but it just sucks. Like you're just taking so much damage over the course of time, and you just I don't know how to explain it. He's the worst boss ever. I hope we never come back to this place, to be honest. But yeah, if you didn't know, you actually have to click these tornadoes to move. You would have saw that on the first boss. Hopefully you already know that. But if you didn't, that's how you do it. Yeah, click it. But anyways, onto this next pack. We got an Executioner. Executor? Yeah, Executor. Basically, this guy is going to cast a rally that you want to interrupt. It's going to increase everybody's health by 100%. Now, it is not a heal, but it is worse than a greater heal. So make sure you kick that, because having to deal damage to something that has double the HP it had before, rather than like a 50% heal, it's worse to have that. So yeah, make sure you kick that. They also do a crashing stones and stuff like that. The adept is going to cast greater heal every so often, so be careful. But onto the biggest part is this big guy here. He does a lightning lash. Make sure you're in the triangle. As soon as it's over, get the heck out of it. And the reason for that is because he's doing this overload, and that causes the triangle to do massive damage to anybody inside. So make sure you watch out. If you are a warrior, you can spell reflect the lightning lash. So don't be afraid to do that. But yeah, be very, very careful with these guys. As you can see, there we go. And so we skipped these balls because they suck. They're kind of like the dragon. It's either skip those or skip the dragon. We skip those. And then we go on to here, which is a very similar pack, but this one's got 2 adepts instead of 1. And then we also have 1 executor. So always make sure to kick that rally, kick the greater heal, move them out of sanguine, and watch for the AoE damage going out. There is a significant amount. Because when they do a crashing stones or whatever, yeah, crashing stone, it does group wide damage. And the 2 other guys also charge the serpent as Atad. Oh, but I don't know. But they charge at people. So just watch out for that. So here is another pack. This one is the worst pack out of the whole dungeon. Basically, they are going to have 2 crashing stone guys with 2 rallies. And then you have to deal with the big guy who is going to cast lightning lash. This is the worst pack in the whole dungeon. So if you get through this guy on fortified, you can get through anything. It really sucks, but it is what it is. So as you can see, he was casting the overload. We have to be very careful not to drop sanguine on him. But as you see, and then I die here. I was in the triangle. I don't know how that third one hit me. I knew the first 2 were going to, but I didn't really think the third one was going to. So yeah, that was interesting there. But as you'll see, we are actually stuck in combat. So they had to spend a battle res on me, which really sucked. But we're going to sit here dead for a couple seconds while we wait for a battle res. And here comes this is the funniest part of the whole dungeon. Is Das fails the res. That's hilarious. Okay, and then he's going to try again and it's going to work. Yeah, there we go. And it would have really sucked if I jumped off here because my HP is so low, so I ran around. But onto the tiny little balls, they just do massive AoE damage. Just beat the crap out of them. There's nothing else you can really do. Stun them if you can, but they're all spread out and stuff like that. So just beat them up and use the defensive sometimes. Sometimes you don't have to, other times you do. They target randomly, so if they all target one person, they're probably gonna fall over. But onto Assad, the final boss of Vortex Pinnacle. So this guy is a real pain. Basically, he's going to do a chain lightning on somebody that's going to put a circle around you. If anybody's in that circle, it's going to hit them as well and jump to other people. It sucks. If you're a warrior, you can spell reflect it, but It's usually best just to try and avoid it in general. Um, Throughout the fight, he's going to summon these little spheres of lightning, as you will see, and you have to run over and kill them the whole time they're doing pulsing AoE damage. And then he's also going to cast something, Static Cling, right here. You have to jump at the end of the cast. If you are not in the air while the cast goes off, you get hit for a massive amount of damage, and you're slowed by 95%, something like that, something crazy. So yeah, be very, very careful of that. Watch it, it's very important. As you see here, jump, you dodge it, bam. And then he's doing the unstable grounding. It's just like the lightning lash guy. Get in it before he's finished the cast, so that way you don't die. It's the best way to explain it. If you're outside of it, you're going to fall over pretty fast. It's not very nice, but yeah. So that's basically it for the dungeon. I'm really hoping this helped, or even maybe it cleared up a few things for you. But yeah, that is it. Uh, Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next one. Later.
Find shelter.
Let's go.